Nimisha's breath was heavy, and she was in a terrible state. Her hair was disheveled. She was standing in front of the mirror, looking at herself and trying to tie her hair back, but out of sheer nervousness, she couldn't do anything. That night, Nimisha regretted her habit of staying up late for the first time. She feared that someone was still following her. This story began when Manisha and Nimisha both studied in class 10 at a boarding school and lived in the hostel. The boarding school they attended was considered a very good school for academics, but the girls' hostel of that school had a completely different story. 5 years ago, a simple and promising ninth-grade girl died on the 5th floor of that boarding school's girls' hostel. No one understood how that girl died. Teachers and parents said the girl had neither depression nor any academic pressure. At first, everyone thought it was a murder, but the police never found any evidence, leading to the case being closed. But year after year, a rumor slowly began to spread that the ghost of that girl now lived on that 5th floor. Therefore, the school authorities closed the 5th floor, and it was opened only once a week for cleaning. About 5 years after that incident, Nimisha and Manisha started living in a room in that hostel on a sharing basis. The routine of both was fixed. Nimisha would stay up all night to study and would wake Manisha up at 7 a.m. before going to sleep. Then Manisha would keep studying until breakfast time. Manisha wore glasses, and a black thread given by her mother was always tied to her hand. Like other students, they didn't believe much in the stories of the 5th floor. But then something happened on December 10th that Manisha had no inkling of. Like every day, Nimisha was sitting in the room studying at 12:30 midnight, and Manisha was sleeping on the other side. Suddenly, Nimisha's throat went dry. She got up and went to the hall to make coffee. There was absolute silence in the entire hall. Everyone was either in their rooms or asleep. There was no one in that hall. Only the rumbling sound of the coffee machine was coming. But after switching off the machine, silence fell again. Nimisha turned around with the coffee mug and suddenly got a shock, causing her coffee to spill. She saw Manisha standing right behind her. Because it was very dark, Nimisha could only see half of her face. That night, Manisha looked a bit different. She wasn't wearing her glasses, nor was that black thread on her hand. Nimisha asked Manisha why she woke up so early, in response to which Manisha said, "Why don't we both go to the 5th floor balcony?" Hearing this, Nimisha's eyes widened and a slight mischievous smile appeared on her face. Before she could say anything, Manisha grabbed her hand and started leading her up the stairs. While both were climbing the stairs, only the sound of Nimisha's slippers could be heard. She noticed that Manisha wasn't even wearing slippers. Something was very strange. That night, the door to the 5th floor of the hostel was open, and both of them went to the 5th floor. They first started looking here and there, and then, after a few minutes, they found themselves in a room. This was the same room of the girl who had died 5 years ago, and about whom people said her soul wandered on the 5th floor. But neither Nimisha nor Manisha knew about that room. The weather was very cold that night. Cold winds were coming from the windows in the hallway of the 5th floor, and fog was gathering in the darkness of the night. Meanwhile, Nimisha's eyes fell on the wall, where someone had written December 10th in large letters using their fingernails. Both stood on the balcony and started looking down. Manisha had been wandering silently for a long time. Nimisha was feeling very cold, so she asked Manisha to go downstairs. But Manisha paid no attention to Nimisha's words. She tried calling Manisha again, and then, for the first time, Manisha looked directly into her eyes. Nimisha was absolutely stunned. Manisha's eyes had turned completely white. She spoke in a very low voice. "Jump." Nimisha didn't understand why Manisha was telling her to jump down. The color drained from her face. As every second passed, Manisha's voice was getting heavier. Looking into Nimisha's eyes, she repeatedly said, "Jump, jump." Nimisha's face turned pale, and her hands and feet were stuck in one position, as if she were being hypnotized. It felt as if she didn't jump, Manisha would push her down. Nimisha's eyes began to close, and she started untying her own hair. Her disheveled hair started flowing in the wind like water. Nimisha was slowly coming under Manisha's control.
But then, suddenly, there was a loud thud sound on the floor below, and Nimisha regained consciousness. She somehow gathered courage, pushed Manisha back, and ran downstairs. While running, she heard a terrifying roar behind her, but she didn't look back even by mistake. She quickly entered her room and slammed the door shut. What she saw then shocked her even more. She saw Manisha sleeping peacefully on the bed in the same position she had left her. Nimisha turned even paler. She woke Manisha up while trembling. Seeing her pale face and red eyes, Manisha hugged the frightened Nimisha. But when asked, Nimisha didn't tell her anything. She wasn't in a state to say anything. That night, Nimisha washed her face in front of the bathroom mirror, tied her hair, and went to sleep. Manisha couldn't understand anything. From that day on, Nimisha started sleeping at night and began ignoring her roommate. Whenever Manisha would sit in the room to study, she felt as if someone was staring at her, and it was often Nimisha. Fed up, Manisha asked her again what had happened that night. Finally, Nimisha told Manisha everything, the truth about that night. After hearing everything, Manisha's mind started racing, and she completely believed Nimisha's story because Manisha knew that a girl had died on the same date 5 years ago, December 10th. This meant that all the stories, tales, and rumors Manisha and Nimisha had been hearing were true. There really was the ghost of that girl on the 5th floor. From that day on, both of them stopped talking about the 5th floor altogether. But to this day, they haven't been able to forget that soul-shaking incident.